Dubai looked perfect, untouched, unstoppable. But in the next few seconds, everything was about to change. No warning, no escape. The city had already stepped into the mouth of death. Something wasn't right. Screens began to glitch, signals started to disappear, and then the temperature dropped. Not slowly, not naturally, just change. Then the wind came. Not normal wind, something colder, something wrong. It cut through the air like ice, and within seconds, Dubai began to freeze. Ice started spreading everywhere. Roads froze, cars lost control. People tried to run, but the cold was faster. It was already too late. And then silence. No movement, no voices. Just a city frozen in time. Dubai was gone. All that remained was ice and death. It wasn't over. Some people were still alive, trapped inside a frozen city. But the real horror had just begun. And then it got worse. The ice started to move again, cracking, spreading, destroying everything. This wasn't over. It was evolving. The cold was getting stronger. People couldn't breathe. They couldn't move. One by one, they started to fall. They tried to escape, but the outside was even worse. The storm had taken over everything. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And then it ended. The city collapsed into ice. No survivors. No escape. Just silence in a frozen grave. But something was still alive. Beneath the ice, it was moving. This wasn't just a storm. Something had caused it. And then it broke through. Ground exploded into ice. Not spreading anymore. Now it was attacking, destroying everything from below. It wasn't random anymore. The ice was hunting, chasing anything alive, getting closer, faster. There was nowhere left to run. And then it took everything. The city, the people, all of it. Frozen in seconds. No life, no movement. Just ice controlling everything. And then it stopped, like it was never a storm. But something that came and finished its job. Dubai wasn't destroyed. It was preserved. It didn't end in Dubai. It spread to another city, another place. Cold was coming back. And this time, it wasn't stopping. Everywhere at the same time. Cities started freezing. Flights stopped, roads collapsed. Panic spread fast in the cold. This was no longer a disaster. It was the end. One by one, cities disappeared. Voices faded. Signals died. And the world went silent. Humanity was losing. Somewhere, deep underground, a few were still fighting. The last chance to stop this. But time was running out, and the ice was already hit. For a moment, it worked. The ice started to break. But then it came back stronger. And this time, there was no stopping it. Just when everything went silent, it started again. But this time, it wasn't freezing. The ground was breaking apart, and something worse was coming. The ice couldn't hold anymore. The ground started collapsing. Cities fell into darkness. Everything was breaking apart. There was nothing left to stand on. But beneath it all, something else was waiting. Not ice, not cold. Something stronger, more violent. And now it was rising. Then it exploded. Ground tore apart. Fire against ice. Everything collided at once. And the world began to fall apart again. It all led back to Dubai, the center of everything. The city was changing, not destroyed, but transformed into something else. It didn't stop. It never stopped. Dubai was just beginning. Now it was spreading again. And this time, the whole world was next. Somewhere else. Started again. The same signs. Same cold. Dubai wasn't the end. It was a warning. This time it was faster. No warning, no delay. Cold hit instantly. The city didn't stand a chance. It had already begun. Chaos in seconds. The storm took over everything. No control, no escape. The city collapsed instantly. It was happening all over again. It wasn't stopping. Storm was growing. City after city falling together. This was no longer separate. It had become one unstoppable disaster. Back in Dubai, it was getting worse. The center of it all was breaking apart. And something bigger was coming. The towers couldn't hold anymore. Cracks spreading everywhere. One by one, they started to fall. Even the tallest was breaking. Dubai was collapsing. And then it gave in. The tower started to fall. The impact shook everything. A shock wave tearing through the city. Nothing to survive it. After the impact, the city started breaking apart. Nothing stayed in place. Everything was shifting. Dubai was tearing itself open. And then it was over. The city was gone. Not destroyed, but erased and remade. Dubai became something else. It didn't end in Dubai. It started there. Something was spreading across the world, and no one could stop it. Everywhere at once. No warning, no time. Cities fell together faster than before. This wasn't random anymore. It was learning, watching, adapting. It knew where to strike. It followed movement. It hunted the living. They tried to hide deep underground, but it found them one by one. Every last place was taken. And just like that, it was over. No voices, no life, just a frozen world, left behind in silence. But then, something moved. Not outside, inside the ice. They weren't gone. They were changing. Their eyes opened. Not human anymore. Something else. Alive inside the ice. And they were waking up. They broke free. Not frozen anymore. Not human. Something new had taken over. And now it had begun. They didn't stop. They spread. Every step changed the world. This wasn't the end. It was something new. The world was no longer ours. Something else had taken it. Not destruction. Transformation. This time, it wasn't stopping here. And then it changed again. The planet started to move. Not just freezing anymore. Something bigger was happening. The world was breaking itself apart. The oceans broke open. And then the waves came. Massive, unstoppable. Crashing through everything. Nothing could survive it. The land couldn't hold anymore. It started to break. Continents tearing apart. Cities falling into nothing. The world was collapsing. Then it erupted from deep inside. Fire against ice. Everything exploding at once. The planet was out of control. And then it stopped. Not destroyed. Rebuilt. The world had changed. And it would never be the same again.